Doraville Police Chief Charles Atkinson. At this time, I'll turn it over to Chief Billy Grogan to make his initial remarks.
Thank you for being here. In 2018, the Georgia legislators passed HB 978 and Governor Deal signed the bill into law. This bill authorized the use of automated traffic enforcement safety devices in school zones. For a local county or city to conduct automated speed enforcement in a school zone, a speed study must be completed to determine the level of need. Once the need has been determined, the local school system must sign off on the Georgia Department of Transportation permit application. Starting in late 2019 and continuing into 2020, first Chamblee, then Brookhaven, followed by Dunwoody and Doraville, approved a vendor for our ATESD program and reached out to the DeKalb County School District soliciting their support for our applications to the Georgia Department of Transportation. Although our initial discussions were encouraging, it became evident in late 2021 that the leadership of the DeKalb County School District had no intention of signing off on our applications so we could implement an automated traffic enforcement safety program in each of our cities. That position is unacceptable. It is also needlessly putting the lives of the children who attend the schools in question at risk. In the school zones we studied, hundreds, and in several cases, thousands of motorists are speeding in excess of 10 miles per hour more than the speed limit each and every day. Let me repeat that. Each and every day, hundreds and even thousands are speeding. That number could significantly be reduced if we were able to implement an automated speed enforcement program. One of the most prevalent complaints each of our departments receives routinely is speeding in school zones. We assign resources to address these complaints, but no department has the resources to place an officer in each school zone all day long, every day. With an automated speed enforcement program, each school in the program will have an enforcement program all day long, every day. On November 8, 2021, the police chiefs of Chamblee, Brookhaven, Dunwoody, and Doraville sent a 10-page letter to the DeKalb County School District superintendent, board members, and selected staff pleading for their help with this critical request. We ask that they respond to us in 30 days. We have yet to receive any communication from them since we sent the letter. Because of their lack of response, we felt compelled to act to bring this significant safety concern to the attention of the parents in our communities and the communities at large. In many other school districts, the application process has not been an issue. For example, the Gwinnett County School System has authorized the police chief of their school police to sign off on these applications. As a result, many cities in Gwinnett County have already successfully implemented an automated traffic enforcement safety program, resulting in significant reductions in speeding where the cameras have been deployed. We are just asking that the DeKalb County School District help us make the roadway safer around the schools in question for our children. After all, shouldn't the safety of the students be the number one concern of all of us? At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Chief Gary Yandura with the Brookhaven Police Department.
Thank you. I'd like to just echo a few points that Chief Grogan brought up, which we completely agree with. We did the same thing. We've had 2 studies when we had these vendors come in. Thousands of violations occurred. We're only looking to cover 3 schools in our city. One is a private school. We already received permission to install the cameras at that school. 2 of them are public schools. One's Cross Keys High School and one's Montgomery Elementary School. We pulled accident statistics for those schools. In the past 2.5, 3 years, Cross Keys had 31 accidents in 2019, 10 accidents in 2020, 20 accidents in 2021. I believe 2 of them were fatal accidents. St. Martin's, which is the other location that we have approval for, had 6 accidents, and 2 accidents in 2021. Montgomery Elementary, 14 accidents in 2019, 16 accidents in 2020, and 5 accidents in 2021. We receive numerous complaints from parents for the safety of their kids, and this was culminized basically by September last year. Their own crossing guard at Montgomery Elementary School asked us to please beef up surveillance for speeding cars during the morning hours from 7 o'clock to 7:50, and afternoon hours from 1400 or 2 o'clock until 2:45. We're just concerned about the kids' safety, and as everyone should be, including the parents, which have been calling us, and we're trying to do what we could, but we have limited manpower. We can't cover every school in town. So, thank you.
At this time, we'd be happy to open it up for questions if anyone has any. Yes, ma'am.
So obviously, assuming it's not great, but you guys have been in constant communication. What do you think this holdup is? Why do you think they're avoiding?
We've met with them on several occasions. Several of the cities have, and initially, which is in the letter that we sent them, they expressed some concern about equity and how it would affect students of color. And we tried to explain that, it's an automated system. It doesn't detect, it's probably the least biased of any system because it's not a person, so it doesn't detect, the race of the person that they're trying to pull over. And then, they had some questions about if students who were walking on the sidewalk were captured in the photo, what we would do with it, who would see it, and it's very limited, certainly would be protected. And so we've tried to answer the question that they've had, but they've not really given us a definitive reason for not wanting to proceed forward. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
If your application ends up getting approved, how quickly could you implement these programs?
So unfortunately, it'll take months. The process, because of the delay, we likely would have to have another speed study done. We also then would have to process the application with the DOT. The DOT takes 3, 4, 5 months, then the equipment has to be installed. So it likely would take probably 6 months, is just an estimate, from the moment they signed off on an application till we actually got the program up and running. Good question. Yes, ma'am.
By going public with the issue that you're facing right now, how do you hope to move this forward?
Well, what we hope it'll do will be to bring this, in our effort to be transparent about the issue, we'll bring it to the attention of parents, of people who are concerned, our elected officials, people that could influence the DeKalb County School District to act. Obviously, we can influence them. We've been working with them for almost 2 years, or a little over 2 years in some cases, to try to get them to work with us, to implement the program. I think we've been over backwards to make it easy for them to do that, and they've not shown a willingness to do so. So, as much as I don't like to do this in public, we felt compelled to do that.
Are you hoping that parents will reach out to the school district?
Absolutely, we would love for that to happen.
Have you all asked county government officials to intervene on your behalf? Have you had discussions with them perhaps?
I don't think we've had it with the county government per se. The DeKalb County School District is its separate entity.
Yes.
And certainly they're elected and appointed separately from the commissioners. And so it's really in their ballpark to handle this.
In your ballpark, but as far as maybe trying to work with the parties to come to some resolution?
Sure. Well, ultimately it's the school system's responsibility.
And is there a next step at this point? Do you have another meeting set up? Is there any kind of a deadline on your end to when you're hoping to come to some sort of?
No, the only deadline we had was the 30 days from when we sent the letter asking them to, please communicate with us. Let's move forward with this. And we were not contacted. And so therefore, that's why we're here today.
And who's your main point of contact with the school district that you've been dealing with?
We've dealt with the police chief there, also with the chief of staff or the school superintendent. And it's outlined in the letter that we released. The other piece, I will mention this, is that there's a potential legislative change that's been discussed over the last couple of years. It got close to passing last year, but didn't, which would remove the school system from being able to have a part in this process.
So at that point, you would need.
It would just be up to the individual city or county.
Chief, of course, crime is a concern with all of our metro area
Sure.
communities. How would you be able to free up some of your officers, as well as the other chiefs, being able to free up officers to handle other calls as opposed to maybe having to physically be there at the schools and
No, that's an excellent question. You know, we all are dealing with limited resources, and of course, with COVID, you know, most of us are experiencing, you know, people out of work and that sort of thing. And so, you know, we have a limited amount of resources to respond to our calls for service. And when we get complaints in the school zones, or even when we don't get complaints, we know that the speeding is happening, so we try to put resources in those areas. So if we have this automated speed enforcement in the school zones, or in the school zones where we have a problem, then we can use those officers in other areas to address crime issues. Certainly, it would be helpful.
Chief, I'm sorry.
Yes.
You may have already answered this. I'm just curious, what do you say to citizens who think that this is just a moneymaker, has nothing to do with public safety?
Well, it has to do with increasing the safety of the school system, the streets around the schools. It's like we have people call all the time and they complain about speeding, and if there's a problem, we enforce it, because if a crash happens at a higher speed, then people are more likely to get injured. The lower the speed is, the less injuries that happen. It makes the community safer. The police department is never about raising revenue. I mean, that's a byproduct of some of our enforcement efforts. There has to be a penalty, a consequence, but it's not the reason that we do what we do. And the automated speed enforcement program is actually, for the person who gets the ticket, is actually better than having an officer get it. It doesn't go against your points, against your license, not sent into the state, and it's a civil penalty. And it's, I think, $75 or whatever it is, compared to if an officer was out there, it would count points against your license, go into the state, and potentially your license could be suspended if you didn't show up for court.
So opponents that would be kind of their point is that it's a civil infraction. So
Right.
what does that? How is that going to change someone's behavior?
If you have to pay $70, then you're not going to want to do that multiple times. And there's some school systems in Gwinnett County, some of the cities there, that have looked at their data. They've had the program up for a number of months, so you can start to see the data trending. And initially, you know, they had it, a lot of people were speeding. And over time, though, that number has significantly dropped. So you have less people speeding, which is the whole goal of the program, is to reduce the number of people who are speeding.
How does this help as far as staffing? I mean, it's no secret law enforcement has been out on the front lines since the day one of COVID.
Sure.
And no question about it, you guys worked around the clock. There's staffing issues in every department. I don't know your situation, but does it show that it's better to have these cameras versus trying to get wasting, I guess, I don't want to say wasting, but having your resources out there instead of fighting other crimes?
So just, I'll use Dunwoody as an example. We're seeking the cameras in 3 school zones. So it would be difficult for us to put an officer in all 3 of those school zones. We just don't have the resources every day, all day during the school day. We just couldn't do it, because there's other needs. There's, you know, people speeding here on Ashford Dunwoody Road, or Mount Vernon, or Chamblee Dunwoody, and a lot of other areas. And so we have limited resources. So it would help us, because that would be taking care of that issue there, the automated speed enforcement program.
Do you have any concern, obviously, with the legislature, they got rid of the red light cameras, called them unconstitutional. Do you have concern that this might not get anywhere?
Well, I don't know that they got rid of them. They changed the what counts as a red light violation, increased the seconds, you know, that you have to do that. But no, I'm not concerned about that. They just approved this in 2018, and so it's a new program, and I think it's having success in the cities that are allowed to implement it. They've seen reductions in people speeding, which again is the ultimate goal of the program. If we did a test and we had 500 and something people speeding every day, and we can get that number down to, say, 50 or less, that would be great, and it would be such a vast improvement in safety for the students in that area or anybody on the road.
What is the CAP school saying? Because we've reached out to them for almost 2 years now trying to get answers.
Sure.
I understand that's why you called the press conference. I would imagine, any response from them? Why are they dragging their feet?
No, we don't know.
So if the superintendent's watching this, what would your message be?
Hey, reach out to us. We're ready to move forward with our automated speed enforcement program, all 4 cities, and we'd love to have you as a partner.
Any reason, did you guys look at other vendors, or did Red Speed, did it seem like the best fit for you guys?
We looked at vendors, all the cities did, and ultimately that was who was selected for us. There's a number of vendors that are in that space.
What you guys use the money for that you guys generate?
We haven't got that far to discuss it because we haven't got a program yet. But it's you know, the money particularly can be used for technology and law enforcement purposes, and so we would certainly find use for it. Any other questions? Okay, thank you all very much. We appreciate you coming.